There's a quiet truth many parents don't speak out loud. In old age, the very children we once held close, the ones we sacrificed everything for, can end up quietly hurting us. Not with cruelty, but with forgetfulness. Not with anger, but with crossed boundaries. It doesn't happen all at once. No, it happens slowly. A little eye roll here, a small favor asked again, a phone call that never comes, and we smile through it. We tell ourselves it's fine. But deep inside, something begins to ache. Not because we expect too much, but because we matter too. And somehow, that part got lost. As the years go by, we don't stop being people. We still need space, still need rest, still deserve respect. But too often, we give and give until there's nothing left for ourselves. That's why today, I want to speak with you, gently, like a friend, about 6 things you should never allow from your children. Not out of anger, not to create distance, but to protect your peace, to protect your dignity, and most of all, to protect the life you've earned. Let's talk about it, slowly, truthfully, together. Let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever been in a room full of family, sharing a memory, and suddenly, someone rolls their eyes or smirks as you speak? You pause, smile politely, maybe even laugh along. But deep inside, a small piece of you folds inward. Because you weren't just telling a story, you were offering a part of yourself, a memory, a lesson, a moment that once mattered deeply. And it was brushed aside like a leaf in the wind. Disrespect doesn't always sound like yelling. It's quieter than that. It shows up in sarcasm, in a comment like, "That's not how the world works anymore, Mom." Or when your opinion is met with a chuckle that says, "You're outdated." And you start to wonder, am I just being sensitive? Let me tell you, no, you are not. You are someone who's lived a full life. You've held babies through fevered nights. You've cooked meals with tired hands. You've worked, hoped, cried, sacrificed. You have earned the right to be listened to with respect. You see, when a child dismisses your thoughts, it isn't just a moment. It chips away at something deeper. Over time, it can make you feel invisible, as though your stories, your voice, and even your presence no longer hold weight in the world. But here's the truth they may not see yet. Your lived experiences are a library of wisdom. They are not old-fashioned. They are hard-earned truths. And you deserve to be heard, not just out of courtesy, but because your life has value. So what can you do? You don't have to raise your voice. You don't need to argue or plead. Instead, choose a quiet moment, a walk in the park, a car ride, a calm afternoon, and say softly, but clearly, "When you laugh at my stories, it makes me feel like they don't matter, like I don't matter." That one sentence can open a door. Maybe they never realized the weight of their words. Maybe they didn't see how deep that sting goes. But if you speak with honesty and calm, many will begin to see. And if they don't, if the disregard continues, it's okay to create space. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Your presence should never feel like something to tolerate. You should never have to shrink to fit into someone else's world. You were there when they had no voice. Now, your voice deserves honor. And I want to say this clearly. You don't need permission to ask for respect. You don't need to justify your feelings. You don't have to earn the right to be valued. You already are. If someone in your life makes you feel small, it is not unkind to set a boundary. It is an act of love for yourself. You are not difficult. You are not dramatic. You are a human being who deserves to speak and be heard. So let this be your quiet reminder. Your voice matters. Your stories matter. You matter. And anyone who can't see that may need to learn. And you, dear soul, are wise enough to teach them. With dignity, with grace, and with love that stands tall. Let's continue on. There's more to protect. Let's talk about something tender and heavy. You've worked your whole life, maybe decades, early mornings, late nights. You went without things you wanted, so your children wouldn't have to. And now, in these quieter years, you thought you'd finally breathe, finally sit in the peace you built, dollar by dollar, sacrifice by sacrifice. But then the phone rings. Mom, I'm short on rent this month. Dad, can you help cover the credit card again, just this once? And of course, you say yes. Not because you're careless, but because you love them, because you're a parent, because that's what you do. And so you help. Once, then again, then again. And before you know it, your retirement account doesn't look so safe anymore. Your emergency fund starts shrinking. Your peace begins to feel fragile. Let me say something gently but truthfully. Your financial security is not their fallback plan. It was never meant to be. Every dollar you pull from your savings isn't just money. It's energy. It's your rest. It's the vacation you never took. It's the quiet comfort of knowing the bills are paid, the fridge is full, and the medicine is covered. And when you give that away too often, especially to a grown child who is capable of learning to stand, you start losing something you spent a lifetime earning. That doesn't mean you stop loving. It doesn't mean you never help. But it does mean you draw the line. You can say, with warmth and firmness, I love you, but I need to prioritize my own stability. You can still be supportive without becoming the safety net that always catches them. Maybe instead of paying the full bill, you sit with them and go over their budget. Maybe you say, I'll match what you save. I'll help you plan. But I can't keep covering it all. Because when they keep turning to you for help, and you keep saying yes out of guilt or fear, it doesn't teach them responsibility. It teaches them to lean on your sacrifice. And that's not love. That's imbalance. You have every right to protect what you've built. To say, this is my season to rest. Not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. And if you're already deep in that pattern, it's not too late. Start small. Set gentle boundaries. You might say, I've realized I've been giving more than I can sustain. I need to make some changes. They might not understand at first. They may feel hurt or confused, but over time, they will learn. And you will feel lighter. Remember this, clearly and deeply. Saying no doesn't mean you love them less. It means you love yourself enough to create balance, because peace is not a gift you stumble into. It's something you protect. Day by day, boundary by boundary, you've spent your life giving. Now, it's time to preserve what's yours. Not because you're done caring, but because it's your turn to be cared for. Let's keep going. There's more truth waiting for us. There's a moment that many older parents have lived. You finally say no. Maybe you were asked to babysit the grandkids, but you already made plans. Maybe they wanted help with another bill, but this time you really can't stretch anymore. So you say it, kindly, gently. Not this time. And what comes next? A sigh. A long pause. Maybe a silence so loud it fills the whole room. And then the words that land like a weight on your chest. I just thought you'd want to help. I guess I'll have to cancel my job interview then. After everything I've been through, I thought you'd understand. And just like that, your no begins to twist inside you. What started as a simple boundary turns into shame. The plans you were excited about feel selfish, and you start second-guessing yourself, not because you did anything wrong, but because guilt quietly crept in. This is emotional manipulation, and I know that's a strong word, but we need to call it what it is, not to accuse, but to understand. Because this kind of guilt doesn't come in shouting matches or cruel words. It comes dressed in love. It sounds like need. It looks like sadness. But at its core, it leaves you feeling like a bad parent, just for honoring your own limits. And here's what's often true. Your children may not even realize they're doing it. They've just learned that if they act disappointed or go quiet long enough, you'll change your mind. They know your heart. They know how deeply you love. But love is not supposed to be a lever. It's not a button they get to press when they want something. Love is mutual. It listens. It respects. So what can you do? First, pause. When you feel that guilt rising, don't rush to respond. Take a deep breath and say something like, "Let me think about that." That small sentence gives you space to reflect, to listen to your own needs, to stay centered. Then, when you're ready, respond with calm honesty. I notice that when I say no, you often make me feel guilty. I love you, but I need the freedom to make choices without pressure. Will it feel awkward? Probably. Will it change everything overnight? Likely not. But boundaries are like fences in a garden. They don't push love away. They protect it, shape it, help it grow strong. And hear me clearly. You are not selfish for protecting your peace. You are not unloving for saying no. You are simply someone who has spent a lifetime giving, and now needs space to breathe. The truth is, every healthy relationship requires the freedom to say no, without fear, without shame. And if someone struggles with your boundaries, it may be because they never had to face them before. That's okay. You are not here to be endlessly available. You are here to live, to rest, to enjoy what you've earned. And you don't have to defend that. You don't need a reason long enough to be convincing. No is a complete sentence. So the next time guilt shows up wrapped in love, remember this. You can care deeply and still say no. You can be a wonderful parent and still set limits. You are allowed to choose your peace, and the people who truly love you, they will learn to honor that peace too. Let's take a deep breath together. We're not done yet. There's still more to reclaim. Picture this. You finally have a slow afternoon. The kettle's warm. Your favorite blanket is nearby. And that book you've been meaning to finish is open in your lap. You've carved out this moment, this quiet slice of peace, for yourself. Then the phone rings. Can you come over now? I need someone to watch the kids. Or worse, the doorbell rings. And there they are. No call, no warning. Just expectation. Dinner. Help. A ride. A favor. Suddenly, your day no longer belongs to you. And you love them. Of course you do. You love your children. Your grandchildren. Their laughter. Their stories. Their tiny shoes on your clean floor. But somewhere in all that love, Your own needs began to disappear. That's the hard part, isn't it? Being needed feels good. But when your time is always on call, when your plans are the first to be pushed aside, when your quiet becomes someone else's convenience, that's not kindness anymore. That's imbalance. You see, you are not just a helper, not just a maybe-sitter, a last-minute ride, or a full-time backup. You are a whole person. With a schedule, with feelings, with limits. So what can you do? Begin gently. You don't have to slam doors. You don't need to shut anyone out. Just start setting rhythm and notice. Let them know, I love spending time with the kids, but I need a few days' notice. I can help this Saturday, but I'll need the evening to rest. These are not harsh rules. They are expressions of love for yourself, because your peace matters too. And if you're feeling tired after long days of helping, exhausted but afraid to say so, that's your body asking for balance. And here's what many forget. Being available all the time doesn't make you more loved. It often just makes you more tired. You've already done the years of sacrifice, the late-night runs, the school pickups, the endless cleaning and cooking and worrying. This season is for slow mornings, for gardens, for friendships, for your own cup of tea, hot and untouched. And if someone in your life expects you to always say yes, then it's time for a loving reminder. My time matters too. You're not saying, I don't care. You're saying, I care for myself too. And if they push back, if they sigh, or guilt, or argue, that only proves how needed the boundary is. Because love doesn't demand exhaustion. Love makes space for both sides to rest, to breathe, to feel seen. You are allowed to say, today, I need quiet. This week, I need to be left alone. I want to help, but I need it to be planned. None of that is selfish. It is self-awareness. It is maturity. It is wisdom. Let's say it softly, but clearly. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to stay busy to be valued. You don't need to be the family's fallback plan to be loved. You matter just as you are, even in stillness, even in silence, even when the phone stays unanswered, and you choose yourself instead. Let's move forward. Your life is not on hold anymore. There's a kind of loneliness that cuts deeper than silence. It's the loneliness of being forgotten, not by the world, but by the people you once gave your whole life to. Maybe you just got home from the hospital. Maybe you were recovering from a fall or dealing with something heavy in your heart. Or maybe you just wanted someone to ask how you're doing, to show up, to care. But the phone stayed quiet. No knock at the door. No message saying, thinking of you today. And you tell yourself, they're busy. They have work. They have kids. You try to understand, but inside, you feel small and alone. This is the quiet heartbreak many older parents carry. Not because they expect grand gestures, but because they once gave so much without ever needing to be asked. You were there for the scraped knees, the breakups, the bills, the bad dreams. You were the one who answered, who stayed up, who said, I've got you. And now, when you need even a fraction of that in return, the silence is deafening. But here's the truth. Your needs haven't disappeared. You still get tired. You still get sick. You still feel joy, sorrow, hope, and ache. You're still human. you're still here. And you still matter. Being strong all those years doesn't mean you have to stay silent now. So what can you do? You don't need to shout. You don't need to beg. Start with honesty. Soft, simple honesty. You might say, "I've been feeling a bit alone lately. It would mean a lot to hear from you now and then." Or, "I have a doctor's appointment coming up. I'd love some company if you're free." That's not being needy. That's being human. And yes, there's always a risk they won't respond the way you hope, that they'll brush it off or change the subject. If that happens, let me tell you this gently. Don't pour your heart where it goes unseen. Instead, turn toward the people who do show up. Maybe it's a neighbor who brings your trash bin in each week. Maybe it's a friend from church who always asks how you're really feeling. Maybe it's a niece who sends little messages from across the country. Those small signs, they are gold. They are proof that care still exists in your world, just maybe not from the people you expected. And that shift, it's not rejection. It's redirection. It's learning to give your energy to those who see you, value you, and want to walk beside you. You can still love your children deeply, but you no longer need to keep waiting by the phone to feel loved in return. You have permission to stop knocking on a door that doesn't open. You are not asking for too much. You are asking to be seen, to be remembered, to be held in someone's thoughts, just as you held so many in yours. Let this truth settle softly in your heart. You deserve connection. You deserve care. And you are still worthy of showing up for, even if they forget for a while. Don't you forget it. Let's keep going, gently. You still have so much light to share, and more still to receive. Let's talk about something that so many of us carry, quietly. You've always been the one they could count on. When someone needed a ride, they called you. When the kids were sick, you dropped everything. When a grandchild had nowhere else to go, you opened your door, your kitchen, your heart. You've been the helper, the steady hand, the one who fills in all the missing pieces. And at first, it felt good, to be needed, to be included, to feel like there was still a role for you, even after retirement, even after your own body started whispering, "Slow down now." But something has shifted. You're growing tired, not just physically, but deep in your spirit. Because while you continue giving, no one seems to be asking, "What do you need, Mom? Are you okay, Dad? Who's helping you?" And when you finally try to bring it up, your care, your future, your needs, they brush it off. Don't worry about that now. We'll figure it out when the time comes. Well, they change the subject. They get uncomfortable. And you're left holding the weight alone again. But here's the truth, spoken gently and clearly. You are not just a babysitter. You are not a free caregiver, a taxi, a safety net. You are a whole person, body, mind, and soul, who will also need help one day. And planning for your care is not selfish. It's wise, it's loving, it's responsible. So where do you begin? You start with a simple, calm conversation. "Let's talk about what I might need as I get older. I want to have a plan." You're not asking for guarantees. You're asking for clarity. So there's less confusion, less fear, less chaos down the road. Talk about the practical things. Where would you want to live if you couldn't manage the house anymore? Who do you trust to help with medical decisions? How should your finances be handled if you're ever unable? And if your children avoid the topic, if they get uneasy or dismissive, remember this. You don't have to wait for their permission to prepare your life. You can start talking with people who will listen. A trusted friend, a doctor, a care coordinator, a lawyer. You can even write down your wishes, your hopes, your boundaries, and keep them safe. Because your future matters, and it deserves a voice. Too many loving parents give everything, only to find themselves later with no one to lean on. Not because their children are heartless, but because no one ever taught them to look ahead. So now, today, you teach them. With strength, with grace. And if they're not ready to learn, then you lead yourself. Set limits. Say, I can help with the kids, but only once a week now. Say, I need a few mornings to myself. These aren't walls, they're boundaries. And boundaries are bridges to your own well-being. So let this be your reminder. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to need help too. You are allowed to be seen not just as the strong one, but as someone who deserves tenderness and support. You've spent your life caring for others. Now, let that care come back to you. Not someday. Not when it's urgent. Now. Because your life isn't something to be managed at the last minute. It's something to be honored, protected, and lived. Fully, freely, and with and that begins with you. So let's take a quiet moment to remember. Never allow disrespect. Because your voice still carries wisdom the world needs to hear. Never allow financial dependence to drain the peace you worked so hard to build. Never accept guilt as love. Real love never makes you feel small. Never give away your time without care. Your days are sacred. Never accept neglect. You still have needs, and they still matter. Never carry it all alone. Your care, your future, your comfort deserve a plan too. And most of all, know this deep in your heart. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You are simply choosing dignity. If this message touched something inside you, I'd love for you to type one simple phrase in the comments below. I choose dignity. Let that be your quiet promise to yourself. And if you want more messages like this, gentle, honest, full of comfort and clarity, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon so you'll be the first to know when new wisdom is shared. We'll be talking about the things that matter in this season of life, how to care for your health, how to strengthen your mind, how to live with calm, courage, and joy, one peaceful day at a time. And if you know someone who might need to hear this, a friend, a neighbor, a sibling, please share it with them. You never know whose heart it might lift, because you are not forgotten, you are not alone, and you are far from finished. We'll talk again soon. Until then, take good care of yourself. You're worth it. Always.